Therapists of Reddit, what's been your biggest moment of, I know I'm not supposed to judge, but holy shit. I had a preteen client whose guardian kept requesting progress notes to see how they've been doing. It's against clinic policy for clients and parents or guardians to have access to those notes. According to them, my client was a very defined individual to everyone, but was a wonderful kid throughout their treatment with me. When I met both the guardian and the parent, who both insisted on knowing everything about the kid, it all started to make sense. Once the parent requested to switch therapists only because I declined their request to the notes. I knew how unhealthy the family dynamics were at that moment, and I felt bad for the kid because they were opening up more about the family dynamics and how they impacted them to me than to anyone else. We had a good therapeutic relationship. Reminds me when my parents made me switch therapists. They brought in my diary and were expecting her to read it and reprimand me. She saw my face, then looked at my parents and said, "I'm not going to read that because it's an invasion of her privacy." That was the last time I saw her, and I'll never forget it. I'd never had someone defend me before, and it felt amazing. I had to stop keeping a journal for this exact reason. My mom would read it, then punish me for having thoughts that didn't align with hers. This lovely girl, somewhere in her teens, was brought to her first appointment with me by her dad. Her mom had, as diplomatically as she could spell it out to me, recently upped and left the family to go live some selfish new age lifestyle with a Reiki healer. Just abandoned him with 2 kids to raise solo. Therapy was the daughter's idea. She'd been having troubling intrusive thoughts lately, things involving mass violent action against her school peers. And these thoughts were upsetting to her. She didn't want to act on them, but she couldn't get them out of her head. I can still picture how scared and sad she looked telling me this. I just wanted to wrap her in my arms, but instead I offered praise and encouragement for her seeking help and trusting me with this information. She also met a lot of the diagnostic criteria for onset of early schizoaffective disorder. We pulled the dad into a session, caught him up, and explained the most urgent part of the plan. He was going to take her for a full eval with a great psychiatrist colleague of mine who understood the situation and was going to get her in stat. The daughter seemed relieved, and so did the dad. We scheduled time to talk soon. Well, shortly thereafter, the mom woke up from whatever festival ditch she had passed out in to angrily call my office and flip out on me. "How dare you? Are you trying to poison my child with pharmaceuticals? Did you even draw her blood and check her vitamin levels? Do you want a bad Google review, or worse yet, a warrant issued for your arrest? Do you even understand herbal supplements?" Ugh, God, I need to stop now because this just makes my head hurt. She did end up writing a negative review online, but I just shrugged it off because I knew I'd behaved ethically and in her daughter's best interests. I also had to explain to her what a psychotherapist was, and that no, I couldn't draw your daughter's blood because I was not a medical doctor, nor would that make sense, given the obvious circumstances, which she took to mean that I was an imposter just posing as a doctor, and that I was admitting it. She was exhausting. I worked with a girl who was struggling with eating disorders to the point that she'd been hospitalized for organ damage at one point a few months prior. I went to dinner with the girl and her mother, and her mom spent the entire dinner counting the individual pieces of rice that she, the mom, was eating, so that she could accurately count the calories that she had consumed herself. I asked the mom to stop, and she just stared at me and asked why she would do that, because she had to watch her figure. Well, I wonder where the 15-year-old daughter got her eating disorder from. I once had a man who was attending family therapy with his 3 children admit that his last child, a girl, was an accident we tried to abort because we only wanted boys. The sad thing is, the girl didn't even look bothered. She had clearly heard it all before. They were attending family therapy as the girl was actively suicidal, and they didn't know why. When I was an intern in my MSW program, I had a 19-year-old client tell me that she was pregnant, didn't know who the dad was, but narrowed it down to 3 guys, and was not going to stop smoking meth, and had no intention of attending her OBGYN appointments. However, she was going to keep the baby to let her mom raise it like she did her other children. I was friends with the brother of a mother like this in high school. The sister was a decade older than him, and had been popping out kids since she was 15 and placing them with family. She ended up dying of an OD in her mid-30s, and had produced 6 heroin-addicted babies in that time. My friend's mom had taken in most of the kids and basically ignored him. His life did not go well, and he has since passed of an OD as well, but he did not have any of his own children. His mom was a nice, normal lady. I can't blame her completely for how the sister turned out. They lost their dad young, and she was also just nuts. I do think of my friend often and how different his life might have been if he'd got to be a kid instead of a default dad to way too many nieces and nephews. I have a friend who's one of those children, except the number 17, and only her and one other turned into functional adults. The other functional brother met with their meth-addicted bio mother once, and she screamed at and spat on him. Had a patient in a group ask for advice because she was feeling pressured into sex that she really didn't want to have. A friend had traveled 2 hours to see her and gotten a hotel room for them. The group heard her out, asked questions, and the consensus was something to the effect of, yeah, you probably owe it to him. It remains one of the only times I've dropped any effort at experiential or Socratic questioning and just flatly told people, absolutely not. Used to work in an acute child psych ward. Saw a lot of angry kids, mostly boys. And more often than not, parents treated the kid really harshly and were shocked that this only made the kid worse. Also worked in an area where they did not want to hear their old school parenting could be the problem. I had one dad say about his 11-year-old son, well, yeah, I'll spank him when he gets angry. Look, I know everyone nowadays doesn't like that, but I was spanked my whole life, and I turned out fine. It took my entire ability to bite my tongue and not say, sir, you just got out of prison 3 months ago after serving 5 years for a violent felony. As an intern, I had a couple where the woman was chastising the man because the mother was a Mormon. The guy had excommunicated and doesn't interact with his parents and hasn't for years. But she thought that this was a good reason to not let him parent his children. Like, he's not allowed to go out on his own with them because his parents are Mormon. She said she was worried that he'd let his mother kidnap her kids and was asking for me to support her beliefs. She was also just calling him names. It was weird. The whole time, he's like, I don't even want to talk to my parents, and I love my kids. In the end, she said, I guess I'm just a bitch, aren't I? Looking at me as if to get my reaction. And I accidentally blurted out, your words, not mine. Whoops. I've seen and heard a lot as a therapist. However, my holy shit moments never come from what my clients say or do. It's from what their families say and do. I have had 2 clients that were victims of factitious disorder imposed on another, better known as Munchausen by proxy syndrome. Those mothers surprised me repeatedly. The lengths they would go to keep their child sick and to try and convince medical professionals that their child was sick was so extreme. The most insane part is that they fully believed the delusion, despite numerous professionals stating their child was not sick. We get some wild consult requests from time to time, like people who fetishize the profession and non-consensually involve us in their kink via email and phone. Mine is way milder than everyone else's, but when someone brings their child to me and can't tell me what the child's birth date is, it gets me every time. What do you mean you don't know? Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you did. I'm ReddList. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care of yourselves. Don't be like the insane people in these stories. And I will see you next time.